Okay, welcome to botany class or NEET. We'll continue with solving some question. The question is, which of the following is incorrect about apoplastic pathway? Option 1, movement of water takes place through intercellular space and the wall of cells. Number 2, movement depends on gradient. Number 3, mass flow occurs due to adhesive and cohesive property of water. The pathway provide barrier to water movement. In this question, that which is incorrect about the apoplastic pathway? Actually, within the plant, the movement of water that takes place by two paths. The possibility is there. One is apoplastic pathway, or apoplastic path. Another is symplastic pathway. This apoplastic pathway that constitutes of non-living part of the plant. So here it is the non-living portion. This is non-living part, and this is made of living part. Okay, the non-living portion constitutes that is non-living is the cell wall plus intercellular space. This is the apoplastic, and symplastic pathway is the living portion. And in these, that symplastic part, this is the living part. So the protoplast, this is living portion of the cell, is the protoplast, that is protoplasm, cytoplasm. So water moves through that. So from one cell to another cell it moves, and there is the neighboring cells are connected through the plasmodesmata. So cell cytoplasm plus the plasmodesmata cause the here this movement of water takes place through the intercellular space and the wall of the cell. This is the actual, that is the definition, that apoplastic pathway, intercellular space. So this one is correct. Movement depends on gradient. There must be some force, of course. Here is the mass flow of water in this one can take place. This pathway, of course, this pathway, it is no barrier in this. Barrier is not there. Of course, the barrier comes when it is moving across the endodermis. There it get the barrier, because through the endodermis, the by apoplastic path, it cannot move. So the pathway provide barrier to water movement during this. So this is also correct. Here movement depends on gradient. There are actually some force is there, and that force actually helps to move the water potential, or the dpd that works, or there is transpirational pool that helps in the movement of water. So movement depends on gradient. This one, this is true, this is true, this is true. This one will not be very correct for the apoplastic pathway. Okay. So the next question will go. In the plant, of course, the movement takes place through both the apoplastic as well as symplastic. Of course, the apoplastic movement is a little faster because the water moves through the passage, the intercellular space, and the cell membrane. The cell wall. Cell walls are the porous structure, so through that water can move. And in this movement, it is a little bit faster movement, but through the symplast, the movement is a little slow. One question, the inner boundary of the cortex the is impervious to water because of a band of suberized matrix called the options are endodermis, and cork, pericycle, and cuticle, hypodermis, and the starch sheath, endodermis, and Casparian strip. Okay, here the inner boundary of the cortex, the what it called, that is what is the inner boundary of the cortex, okay, is impervious to water, which does not allow water to move across because of band of suberized matrix called the. So you have to select the pair of word which is correct and suitable for these two blank places. Okay, so one pair is endodermis and cork, pericycle and cuticle, hypodermis, starch, endodermis, Caspian. What is the inner boundary of the cortex? In the plant organ, any of the organ, whether you cut the stem, branches, or the root, the outer boundary is called epidermis. So outer boundary of the cortex is epidermis, and the inner boundary of the cortex, that is called endodermis. So here it should be endodermis. This endodermis forms the barrier, that what in the previous question also I have told, that in the apoplastic pathway there is barrier of water movement. Okay, so this endodermis is impervious to water, and this is due to a chemical compound which is known as suberin. And waxes plant organ that prevent the water movement. This protect usually many of the xerophytic plants also, they have suberized the cell on their surface. In the bark also the cells have suberin. Okay, so this due to this suberin, this suberized matrix is present in the cell wall of endodermis, and that is known as this. This is present in the form of a band, and that band is known as Casparian strip. Okay, Casparian strip or Casparian band. Due to this, the water cannot move. So our answer will be that these four, option number 4, endodermis and Casparian strip. So it will be filled up like this: the inner boundary of the cortex, the endodermis, is impervious to water because of band of suberized matrix called the Casparian strip. Okay, so due to this Casparian strip, apoplastic movement is stopped there, and across the endodermis, water move by symplastic way. So if water has to cross the endodermis, then it has to move in symplastic way, not apoplastic way. Cork is the outermost tissue which is produced due to secondary growth in the woody plant. So there is the cork and bark is produced. So cork also is impervious to water. This reduce the water loss through the plant. Cuticle also reduce the water loss through the plant, and cuticle is present all the surfaces, aerial part of the plant. All aerial part of the plant surface is covered with cuticle, and due to presence of cuticle, the water loss is reduced. In the xerophytic plant, the cuticle thickness of the cuticle layer is more, so they can reduce water loss. Pericycle is a layer in the tissue that is inner to the endodermis, and the hypodermis is just below the epidermis. There is a layer, that layer is known as the hypodermis. A starch sheet, a starch sheet is nothing but the endodermis, because the endodermal cells also contain large amount of starch as a reserve material. So that endodermis is also known as a starch sheet and the Casparian states. A question related to the DPD. In a fully turgid cell, the value of DPD, OP, and TP should be respectively DPD is equal to 10 atmosphere. OP is equal to 15 atmosphere and TP is equal to 5 atmospheres. Number 2, DPD is equal to 5 atmosphere. OP is equal to 7 atmospheres. Number 3, DPD is equal to 2 atmosphere. OP is equal to 7 atmosphere and TP is equal to 5 atmospheres. And number 4, DPD is equal to 0 atmosphere. OP is equal to 15 atmosphere and TP is equal to 15 atmospheres. So here in this question, the values given in a fully turgid cell, okay, fully turgid cell, that it has absorbed maximum amount of water and no more water can enter from outside the cell. Into the cell, no more water can enter. So here, that it depends on it can be explained on the DPD, that is the diffusion pressure deficit, and DPD is dependent on osmotic pressure and turgor pressure. Turgor pressure or the wall pressure. Turgor pressure and wall pressure are equal. This DPD, this is usually an old concept, and in the modern physiology, most of the time that water potential is used. So in the same question, this question can be asked in terms of water potential, but the actual explanation will be same. Okay, so water moves from the lower DPD to higher DPD. Okay, and when the cell is fully turgid, if it is fully turgid, the fully turgid cell does not absorb any water. It means that the value of DPD must be 0. So here DPD should be 0, whatever is the osmotic pressure or turgor pressure. But as the DPD is calculated by the formula that DPD is equal to osmotic pressure OP minus TP, turgor pressure. So from here we have to select that expression where this osmotic pressure and turgor pressures are equal in their value, so that it will become, the dpd will become 0. So this cannot be, dpd is 10. This one cannot, if the dpd is 10 atmosphere, means it will keep on absorbing water. dpd is 5 atmosphere, it will still absorb water. dpd is 2 atmosphere, it will absorb water. When dpd is 0, and to be it 0, it should be that 15 atmosphere to 15 atmosphere. So TP is, OP is 15 and TP is 15. So 15 minus 15 is 0. DPD is 0. This value may be changed. If it is set in this place, so we can keep it to that 10 atmosphere. Then TP also is 10 atmosphere. It is not that to become DPD 0, that OP and TP values always should be 15, 15. It must be that any value which will ultimately make the DPD 0, that at that stage the cell is fully turgid. So in a fully turgid cell, DPD is DPD is 0 and the turgor pressure increase equal to the osmotic pressure. When a plant cell start absorbing water, its turgidity increases gradually, and as the turgidity increases, the turgor pressure also increases. And this turgor pressure will increase till it become equal to the osmotic pressure. And when the turgor pressure will become equal to osmotic pressure, then dPd will be 0 net value and water will not be absorbed. Otherwise, if it is not a osmotic system, then this is osmotic pressure. Water moves towards the higher osmotic pressure, but this turgor pressure opposes it. So our final value is calculated by subtracting the turgor pressure from the osmotic pressure. One question from the ascent of sap. Okay. Cohesion, tension, theory regarding ascent of sap was given by Dixon and Joly, J.C. Bose, Christian Wolff, Godlewski. Regarding the ascent of sap is upward movement of water in plant. That is the translocation of water. Of water, and water translocation is mainly, as we have learned, it is unidirectional, and this is upward movement mainly, and the water that is moving in the plant, that water is not pure water. This water contains different mineral also, which is absorbed from the soil. So water in the plant that moves, that contains the different minerals and other hormones, vitamin, uh, some enzymes, etc. also is there. So that is not pure water, and this is known as that the cell sap. Okay, this is cell sap, and that's why the upward translocation of water, it is the ascent of sap. Okay, ascent of sap. This ascent of sap is not a easy thing. Different physiologists, they have proposed different theories for explaining the actual mechanism of upward movement of water. But the best theory that explains and supported by most of the physiologists is that is cohesion tension theory. This theory is also known as cohesion, adhesion, tension theory of Dickson and Joly. Also, it is known as the transpiration pool. Transpiration pool theory, or it is cohesion, adhesion, transpiration. Okay, and this was given by Dickson and Joly. This is the best and most acceptable theory so far, more than 100 years already, and it was given towards the late 19th century, and still it is supported by most of the physiologists. So this is the Dickson, and J.C. Bose, our Indian physiologist. He gave some vital force theories. Godlewski and J.C. Bose gave some vital force theories. We will continue with that, with the Ascent upset, that cohesion, adhesion, and surface tension. Surface tension of water give to water. What it gives to water? Number one is the high tensile strength. Number two, high capillarity. Number three, both number one and two, that is the high tension is tensile strength as well as high capillarity. And number four is more imbibing capacity. Okay, what is cohesion, adhesion, and surface tension? See, this Dixon and Joul's theory is based on these properties of water. Okay, this cohesion, the water molecules are bound together, held together by the force of cohesion. Water molecules are held together by cohesion. Water molecules are in touch with the xylem vessel. Okay, water moves through the xylem vessel. Okay, this is the xylem vessel. So wall of this vessel, the water molecules are stick to that also. So by addition like the adhesive, it is one type of molecules is adhered with the other type of molecule. So water to the vessels, it is by adhesion. And the surface tension, due to which I think you know that it's there is some forces on the different liquids. They have different types of surface tension. Okay, so this is also a physical property of the liquid, and due to this surface tension, that in a liquid, the liquid, they move up in a capillary tube. There is force of capillarity. Due to the surface tension, water will move through the very narrow diameter, this tubes. So this is the force of capillarity. So force of capillarity is due to this surface tension, the xylem vessels are treated as the capillary tubes because their diameters are very less. So this gives this cohesion addition, particularly this gives the high tensile strength. Tensile strength means that if the water molecules are pulled apart, they will not easily be separated. There are lot of attraction force, so they will not snap away. And so the water move within the vessel, but this is moving like a column, like a rope, but they do not snap away, though there are very high force. So this the high force is given due to the property of cohesion and adhesion. So this is the tensile strength it provides and also for high capillarity. Both these things are there, and so our answer is both 1 and 2. This property gives, and Dixon and Jolly's theory depends on this. There is another thing in the Dixon and Jolly's theory, that is the transpiration pull. Transpirational pull. This Dixon and Jolly's theory explains that there is continuous column of water in the plant body forms a continuous column, and it is from the leaf surfaces, from the leaf to the till the root here. Okay, this water is continuous, and this is continuous due to that cohesion addition and its surface tension. Okay. Dixon and Jolly's theory explains in this way that there is a continuous loss of water from the leaf surface by transpiration. And this continuous loss of water by transpiration from the leaf this creates the water potential very low, because when the water is lost, the cell sap, the solution became more concentrated, and in more concentrated solution, the water potential is less, more negative, and due to this less water potential, water start moving from the neighboring cell, and water from this side where it is water potential is higher, from that place water move towards the cell where the water potential is less. So ultimately this leaf cell ultimately draw water from the veins, that is the xylem tissue of the leaf, and here the water is forming a continuous column. So due to this continuous water loss due to transpiration, there is a upward pull, a tension in water column, and this causes the upward movement of water. And as the root also face the water shortage, this shortage of water is only met by absorbing water from the soil. So there is continuous transpiration, and this transpiration creates a pool in the water column, and that causes the ascent of shape, upward movement of water, as well as absorption of water through the root. We'll do some more question from the transpiration. The transpiration that takes place through the stomata, that is the water loss, and transpiration is the root cause of the upward movement of water. So we will see some of the questions from the transpiration. The transpiration is least in good soil moisture, number 2, high wind velocity, number 3, dry environment, number 4, high atmospheric humidity. The transpiration is listed where these are actually the factor of transpiration, the factor that influence the rate of transpiration. The rate of transpiration depends on some of the external factors as well as internal factors. Internal factors are the plant related factors, the factor causes which are already within the plant, and external factors are the environmental factors, factors in the soil. Okay, so here some of the first thing here given where it is least, that is the minimum. Minimum is one given, that is the good soil moisture. Actually, when the soil moisture is good, then the absorption, plant has enough water, plant will absorb water, so plant has enough water. So if enough water is there within the plant, then transpiration also will be good. Amount of water will be lost in transpiration. So rate of transpiration will be high. The rate of transpiration will be low if the soil is very much dry. Soil does not contain much water. Then the plant will not get water, and so the rate of transpiration also will be less. High wind velocity. The wind velocity is It supports the rate of transpiration. Rate of transpiration increases with the increase in wind velocity, because when the wind velocity is high, then around the leaf or the near the leaf surface, the moisture cannot retain. Moisture will not remain near the leaf surface, and that will help better diffusion. So that with high wind velocity, that the rate of transpiration will be higher, but this is up to a certain limit. If the wind velocity is very high, then what happens? The rate of transpiration will be high, it will increase, and that very faster loss of water will decrease the turgidity of the guard cell, and the guard cell will close. The stomata will close due to loss of turgidity. And so the wind velocity, with the wind velocity, transpiration increases up to certain limit, and beyond that, the transpiration rate again decreases and stops. Dry environment. Again, dry environment means less moisture in the atmosphere. And less moisture in the atmosphere cause the that establish a gradient between the plant internal and the external environment. So plant internal has a high moisture content, and in the atmosphere it has less water content, so that the diffusion is faster. So the dry environment is favorable for the rate of transpiration high. So rate of transpiration becomes high. And then next, the fourth option given here is high atmospheric humidity. High atmospheric humidity is negative for the transpiration. So if the so here that the transpiration is least when the atmospheric humidity is very high. So that is why during the summer the rate of transpiration usually higher, because summer atmosphere contains very less moisture, but during rainy season and winter the atmosphere has very high humidity. So during winter and rainy season the rate of transpiration is very low. So here it will be low humidity. Of course, the rate of transpiration also depend on the light and temperature. These are the important things that in presence of, we know in general that in presence of light, the stomata open. So when the stomata open, the rate of transpiration increases. And with the light become brighter, the transpiration become faster because the stomata open wider, and the rate of transpiration. But if the brightness increases too much, then due to again the very fast rate of water loss cause the guard cell flashing and stomata close. The light also influence the bright light, that also influence the temperature, And so due to the high temperature, we know that the temperature has a positive effect on the rate of diffusion, and transpiration takes place by the process of diffusion. Okay, so when the temperature increases, the with the increase in temperature, the rate of transpiration increases up to certain limit. Beyond that, again, the at high temperature, the rate of transpiration again stops. Okay,